What if the most important skill your child could learn isn't reading earlier, it's not scoring higher in school or becoming the best athlete on the team, but understanding their own emotions? Because when a child can recognize that they feel, regulate it, and understand the emotions of others, something powerful happens. They become more resilient, more confident, and better equipped for relationships for the rest of their lives. Hi, I'm Tarryn, founder of The Parent Thing, and I'm passionate about helping parents understand children through the lens of emotional intelligence and nervous system awareness. Research consistently shows that emotional intelligence is one of the strongest predictors of long term success and well being. In fact, studies suggest that emotional intelligence can account for nearly 80% of life success compared to cognitive intelligence alone. Think of emotional intelligence like the operating system of the brain. Just like a phone or computer needs a functioning operating system to run apps properly, children need emotional awareness to manage behavior, relationships, and decision making. Without it, even the smartest brain struggles to function well under stress. So, today we're talking about how parents can actively teach emotional intelligence, not through lectures, but through everyday moments. I'll share practical tools you can start using immediately to help your child build awareness and empathy, two of the most important emotional skills for life. And the first step begins with helping children recognize what they feel. Before children can manage emotions, they first need to identify them. Young children experience emotions intensely, but they often lack the language to explain what's happening inside them. When a child melts down, it's rarely because they're trying to be difficult. More often, their brain simply doesn't yet have the words or awareness to process the feeling. I am currently learning to speak German. It's one of the toughest things I've ever done. My vocabulary is building up pretty well, but stringing together sentences and having to be aware of dative, accusative, and nominative forms to be grammatically correct chokes me up every time I try to talk to a local. My brain freezes up. However, my understanding is getting so much better. So a local can speak to me and I'm understanding what they're saying way better than I can speak. Now you imagine trying to solve a problem in a language you don't speak. You have some vocabulary in that language, but you can't effectively communicate with just the vocabulary. And that's what emotional overwhelm feels like for a child. Just because they have the vocabulary doesn't mean they have the communication skills they need. In the same way I have to take lessons to learn German, a child needs lessons on how to effectively communicate their emotions. One of the most powerful things parents can do is name emotions out loud. Instead of focusing only on behavior, narrate what you observe. It looks like you're feeling a little frustrated that your tower fell down. Or you can say, I see that you're disappointed because it's time to leave the park. So often, parents with the park example will be like, don't be upset. We have to leave the park. We have to leave, and not leaving room for their emotions. Yes, the boundary remains. You have to leave the park, but save some room for their emotions because it is natural for a little kid who is having fun at the park to feel disappointed because it's time to leave the park. Both can exist at the same time. You hold your boundary, playtime is over, but also holding space for their disappointment because playtime is over. This does two important things for a child's brain. First, it builds emotional vocabulary, which strengthens the thinking part of the brain. Second, it helps children feel seen and understood, which calms the nervous system. You can also build emotional awareness through small daily practices. Ask children to name one feeling from their day. Use emotion charts or feeling cards. Reflect on emotions during story times or conversations. Over time, children begin to internalize this language. Instead of exploding, they'll start saying things like, I'm mad, I'm frustrated, that hurt my feelings. I've heard little kids say, You've hurt my feelings. And it's the sweetest thing because they are actually learning to communicate how they feel. And once children can recognize emotions in themselves, the next step is helping them learn how to respond to these emotions in healthy ways. So we have the awareness of the emotions, and then we teach them how to regulate these emotions. Emotional intelligence isn't about eliminating emotions, it's about learning how to move through them safely. Children are born not knowing how to regulate themselves. Regulation is something they learn through co regulation with adults. In other words, before children can calm themselves, they need calm adults to model regulation. When a child is overwhelmed, their brain shifts into survival mode. Their thinking brain goes offline and the emotional brain takes over. That's why logic and lectures don't work in the middle of a meltdown. Instead, regulation starts with connection and safety. You can say something like, I'm here with you. Let's take a few slow breaths together to calm down. Or you can guide them through simple grounding activity like tracing their fingers while breathing in and out. These moments teach the nervous system something critical. Big feelings are both normal and they are manageable. Over time, these repeated experiences help build neural pathways for self regulation. Children begin to develop tools they can eventually use on their own. Think of regulation like training wheels on a bike. At first, parents provide most of the balance, but eventually the children learn to stabilize themselves. And once the children feel safe with their own emotions, they become much more capable of understanding the emotions of others. Another thing to remember here is that there really is no such thing as negative emotions. As humans, having a human experience, we experience a full spectrum of human emotions. I call them red and blue emotions. The red ones are more uncomfortable to feel, and the blue ones are more comfortable to feel. So often, as adults, we become uneasy when the little ones are feeling these red emotions. I invite you to try to be more mindful, not to try to dismiss their feelings. Instead, lean into their feeling, name the emotion that they're feeling, and explore why they feel that way. I think of a very typical example in parenthood. When a child is learning to play a sport or playing on a team, and they come home and they say, I suck at this, or I'm not good at this, and immediately as the adult, as the parent, we want to soften this blow and say, Of course, you're good. You are so great, honey. Don't say that. However, what if we leaned into that and question, why are you not feeling like you are good enough to do this? What makes you think that you suck at this? What makes you feel? And you can name whatever emotion you feel that they are feeling. What makes you feel frustrated? What makes you feel inadequate? What makes you feel whatever the word may be? That opens up a door to communication as opposed to just shutting down the emotion, telling them that they're great when they clearly are not feeling great. Whereas you can work through the emotion, find out what it is they're feeling, why they think they're feeling that way, and then process that emotion in order to come out on the other side. I think this is such a brilliant exercise for parents as well to try it when you feel a red emotion too. Instead of trying to dismiss it, instead of trying to suppress it, try to sit with it. Try to see where these feelings are coming from, what the root is. Why do you feel that way? What is this emotion called? Because so often we don't know how to name our emotions, and then it presents itself as anger, which is a secondary emotion. So, this is emotional intelligence, being able to be aware of, sit with, and process the feeling, and then respond in a healthy manner. Sitting with your child, listening to what they are feeling, leaning into that emotion, naming the emotion, exploring the emotion is called empathy. It's the ability to recognize and care about how another person feels. And just like emotional awareness, empathy is something children learn through experience and modeling. Children develop empathy when adults intentionally help them notice emotions in others. For example, if a sibling is crying, you might say, "Your sister looks really sad. What do you think happened?" This invites children to pause and observe another person's emotional world. You can also model empathy in daily life. When you're at a grocery store, you can say, "That cashier looked tired today. I wonder if she had a long day." Or, "Your friend seemed so excited to see you this morning." These small conversations train the brain to look beyond the self. Another powerful way to build empathy is through repair after conflict. When children hurt someone, physically or emotionally, guide them through understanding the impact of their actions. Likewise, when you hurt your child, when you yell at your child or say something that was hurtful, having that moment of repair instead of forcing a quick apology, help them reflect. You can say to them, "Look at your friend's face. How do you think he feels right now?" Or when you hurt your child, you can say, "I really sat with that and I realized that I reacted out of anger. I reacted impulsively. I am so sorry that I hurt your feelings." When a child begins connecting actions to the emotional impact, they develop a deeper understanding of relationships, healthy relationships at that. And when emotional awareness, regulation, and empathy come together, children begin building something incredibly powerful: emotional intelligence that will guide them for life. Teaching emotional intelligence doesn't require perfect parenting. It happens in small, everyday moments: when you help a child name a feeling, when you stay calm during a meltdown, when you guide them to notice how someone else may feel. These moments are shaping the way your child understands themselves and the world around them. Children who grow up with emotional intelligence don't just behave better, they communicate better, they build stronger relationships, they develop resilience that carries into adulthood. And the beautiful thing is this: every parent can begin practicing these tools starting today. If today's conversation resonated with you and you want to dive into emotional intelligence a little more by understanding what's actually happening inside your child's brain during your big emotional moments, I'm hosting a webinar on April 18th where I'll explain what happens in a child's brain when you yell, why their behavior changes in those moments, and what helps them feel safe and regulated again. You can sign up using the link in the show notes or in my social media bios. And if you're looking for simple ways to start building emotional awareness and connection with your child at home, I've created the perfect tool. It's called Big Feelings, Brave Goals. It's designed to help children reflect on their emotions, practice gratitude, and build confidence through daily prompts. You can find it on Amazon, and the link is also in my show notes and social media bios. Because when we teach children to understand their emotions, we're giving them tools that will shape the rest of their lives. And that's the parent thing.
Thank you for tuning into the parenting. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions, feedback,